Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our fourth episode of this new exciting podcast series where I sit down with the brilliant minds of Pronto Marketing. I'm your host, Matteo, bringing you yet another fantastic conversation from the heart of Pronto. This time, we are diving into the world of search, ads, and everything in between. In the hot seat today is none other than the man who sits at the intersection of SEO, link building, and PPC, turning chaos into orchestrated marketing success for our clients. I'm thrilled to welcome Chris, our very own search and advertising team manager. Hi, Chris. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey Matteo, how's it going?
All good. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Another sunny, hot day in Thailand. Got my aircon on, but yeah, all good.
Perfect, Chris. It's always intriguing to uncover the path that leads someone to their current position, particularly in a dynamic field like digital marketing. I think your story can inspire many of our listeners who are contemplating potentially a similar career as yours in this field. Could you maybe begin by sharing a bit about your journey in digital marketing?
Sure. So when I was younger, I don't think I really knew exactly what I wanted to do. But I was always fascinated with the internet when I first saw it on my uncle's computer. And I think I got the first time to kind of do something with it when I was in a band. Um, and created the band's website, which is a lot of fun. And then, made it myself with kind of raw HTML. And at the time, there was Adobe Flash. So I was trying to figure out that. And yeah, kind of got excited about making websites to start with. And a few years later, I decided to study computer graphics at university. And there was a whole bunch of things that we were kind of studying there, from photography, web design, and marketing, and got really excited, really enjoyed it. And then later on, a friend who was working at Pronto, Adam, messaged me to let me know that there was a position going for a website project manager. So I joined Pronto in 2016, and yeah, it was great. Really enjoyed it. Loved meeting new people and learning the ropes from what everyone was doing, and just really sunk my teeth into it. And yeah, enjoyed all the kind of problem solving that comes with making websites, figuring out what the best user experience is for clients or the website's prospects. And then I kind of discovered SEO slowly from that, and just got really interested in what the kind of user journey is for users on websites. What does searcher intent mean? And discovering how you can kind of utilize that with keywords and the page content and marketing funnels. So eventually there was a position that opened up in the search and advertising team where they were looking for a person to join. And at the time, each person, a few years back, each person was taking care of each side of the team. So one person would handle building backlinks, launching Google Ads campaigns, taking care of local listings. And but soon after I joined, we decided that it'd be best to specialize into these areas, just so that if one person's doing a whole bunch of things, it can be hard to become an expert in it. So we split the team up. We started specializing in each field, and then I became an SEO specialist and evolved from there and became a senior SEO specialist. And then I got the opportunity to become a manager of the whole SEO team. And since then, it's still a roller coaster, lots of things to learn, and but it's just been really exciting.
Yeah, that's a fascinating journey, Chris. And I think it really goes to show that the digital marketing landscape offers limitless opportunities for those willing to take them. What do you think was one of the most challenging aspects of rising to your current role?
Um, Good question. Yeah, probably. I'd been. I think my strengths are in SEO, but just understanding new tasks that other team members are doing and how I can help them to pursue the things that they're interested in roles that I'm not familiar with, but also kind of just managing a team is new for me, and just because someone's good at doing the kind of production work for SEO or making websites doesn't necessarily mean that you know everything about managing other people who do that. So kind of understanding what people are after in their roles and how you can help them achieve that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Your story definitely paints a picture of a dynamic and evolving path. As you've moved into leadership, I'm sure you've had to find effective ways to manage and inspire a diverse team of specialists. Could you maybe share how you manage to harness their full potential and maximize their productivity?
Yeah, well, we're definitely a diverse team. We've got a few people from Europe and South Asia, and also a lot of Thais. And someone might have mentioned before, but we've got offices in Thailand, in the Philippines. And so it's a whole kind of cultural mix of everyone. So, and that comes with it, different ways to communicate with the teams, different members of the team. There's a lot of different approaches that some people prefer. So a lot of times it's adapting to different communication styles to get the message across. But I find that it's really important to find the right task that fits the right specialist. You need to kind of understand what their range is of what is considered difficult and what's considered easy. You don't want to give someone a task that's too difficult that they just don't know what to do. They get stuck and they feel a bit disheartened. Also, you don't want to give someone a task that's too easy, because then they'll get bored and you're wasting their potential. What I like to do is figure out with the team members what they want, where they see themselves in the future, and that could be at the company or it could be something completely different. For example, we've got somebody who in the future wants to work in house. They find that they think they'd find that really fascinating to be able to kind of work in an in-house team where they can kind of take their ideas and explore on them pretty much straight away. So for someone like that, we can look at our own website and kind of put them within our own in-house marketing team so that they can get some experience working on an in-house website.
Yeah, that's interesting how you've balanced and integrated the diverse skills within the team. I think it's really a great testament of your leadership skills. Um, are there any specific tools or software that you find particularly helpful in managing the team?
Um, yeah, we use a software called Small Improvements, and so that is like a survey that comes out every 6 months during someone's work life, and they choose people within their team that they've worked that they work with daily, but also people that they work with every now and again, to leave feedback from them. And the feedback that the team gives each other is really great, because there's a lot of things that I don't see because I'm not working directly with the team day to day, where their colleagues might spot something. So that they have the opportunity to say like what the strengths are for this person is, and even they can share their own ideas about where they can see that person going, or tasks they think is suited for that person in the future, and also some feedback of where employees can improve. I think this is really, really helpful, especially when there's a bunch of people who have the same idea, where this person it has some strengths in one area, but needs to be improved in the other. And that way we can offer support and get that employee up to the place where they think they can be.
Interesting. And how about in terms of project management? Are there any particular tools your team or the specialists are using to keep themselves on track?
Yeah, we use Asana. We've used it in team for a while, and this kind of and the company has been using it for the last few months, and we found it really essential, especially on the SEO side. There's lots of things that we need to organize and streamline, because the more streamlined things become, the more efficient the team becomes, and we can offer a reasonably priced service. Because if you kind of do things by memory or not have these processes, then you kind of starting from scratch each time a client gets onboarded.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And it sounds like effective team management requires a certain level of meticulousness and methodical planning. And this is something you are particularly known for, Chris. In fact, one of the things that I think sets you apart is your meticulous and systematic approach to work. Can you maybe give us a glimpse into how your, as I said, methodical approach to work assists you in managing your tasks and your team?
Yeah, yeah. Like I mentioned, I think it's really important to have these SOPs and checklists, because you don't want to start from scratch every time.
Mhm.
Because if you do, the whole process takes a lot longer, and you want to free up your time in other areas to customize certain parts of the process to the individual client, because not everyone's the same. But where it is consistent, you want to have these SOPs and checklists so that you can streamline the onboarding, streamline how the operations are run, and because if it's worked a bunch of times, you want to make sure that you're going to do it every time. I think another thing that I encourage is that the team kind of tries to spot any time where they're going through their processes and they experience some friction or a problem, and to kind of take a moment and think, okay, why is this difficult? Like, could this be easier? And then there might be a way that we can update some of these processes so that there's a flow going, like when we're onboarding clients or we're going through our day-to-day work.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, so one more as well. So the other day I went to get a health checkup, and I think it's really good to look at inspiration outside of your general day-to-day. And going through the health checkup is kind of like a website audit. You're getting on board at the hospital. They're taking samples of your blood. They're making sure that you know what's working, what can you do better, and then you're getting a report at the end handed to you by a doctor and explaining to you everything that means in the report. And recently as well, we've started to provide Loom videos, because we try to make our reports as kind of clear and user friendly as possible. But sometimes there are some things that need a bit more explaining, like the doctor explained to me about the report that I was receiving. And yeah, and so I think it's really good. So we can explain things over a video along with the report, so you can see so you can explain like some things that might need elaborating on that were mentioned in the report, but there needs to be like some kind of disclaimer or some extra information needs to be added.
Yeah, these are excellent points. Effective systems and processes really are the backbone of any successful project, for websites or SEO for us, or for an health checkup at the hospital. How do you ensure that the SOPs and checklists are constantly updated and uh, followed to by the team?
Yep, that requires another process. So you can work that into a process, and I think that's really important because as marketing changes, the services adapt to it, and you want to keep track of that. You want to make sure that everyone's working consistently across all the different projects that we've got. So we just set up more processes so that the owner of that particular service has a task to go through all of these SOPs and tasks to make sure that we're up to date with the tasks that are generated and the workflow that we're expected to do.
Fantastic. Yeah. A methodical approach is, I think, vital in many areas of digital marketing, especially in SEO, like you said before, which is your main expertise. Could you maybe dive a little bit deeper into this topic and share what your favorite aspect of SEO is?
I think one of my favorite aspects is understanding user intent. Like I mentioned it before, and it's incredibly important, and it's something that's maybe not taught in every blog. But if you search for it, there's going to be a bunch of information about it. But it's really important. So search for intent is trying to match the content of the web page with the intent of the searcher. So what is the searcher really looking for? And is the page you're creating, does the page answer the question the searcher is asking? And you can see this in Google. Like Google doesn't share all of its secrets, doesn't want you to kind of reverse engineer what it's looking for, so you can kind of hack the search results too much. But the search page gives you a lot of information about what Google is looking for. So, for example, if you ask a how question, you're going to get a lot of blogs because Google knows that you're looking for information, and blogs are typically informational pages. So they're not looking to purchase something yet. The searcher, they're looking for information. So Google wants to match the right page with the right type of search. Another one is if you have an IT support company, you might create a location page, and that you would do this because if a typically a searcher might search something like IT support Tampa, and if you look at the search results, you're going to firstly at the top, first or second, you're going to see ads, and that means it's likely a transactional search. So someone's looking to buy something, or they're very interested about buying something. Another part of the search is you'll see a map, and that shows that it's a local search. So the searcher is looking for a local business, and the rest of the search results are going to be service pages or location pages. Location pages are, for anyone who's unaware, pages that you've created specifically for these location intent searches. And by the way, they're great for businesses who are a service area business. So they may have their office in one city, but they serve lots of different areas. And so just looking at the search results to see what's coming up for a keyword that you predict a prospect is looking for, and keeping that in mind. And so when you're writing your content, you know that, okay, they're looking to buy something, or they're looking to have a question answered. So if they're looking for a question answered, they may not be ready to buy something, and they're just looking for information. So just trying to answer the question for the searcher based on the information you get from the search pages.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on the importance of the searcher intent or user intent. I would almost say that once you understand what user intent is, you kind of understood a good amount of what SEO really is all about. Um, for our listeners, Chris, I know this was not a question I asked you to prepare for, but in this specific area of SEO, what resources or learning path would you suggest our listeners should take if they want to know more about it?
Yeah, well, I think with that in mind, it opens up a whole new world for a lot of people, because when you when you search for different queries, you click on a link and you go to a page, and it's absolutely you don't even see it, because Google's done such a good job at user experience and it's so seamless. And the more seamless you can make something, the more unnoticeable it becomes. So people are likely coming across lots of different types of search pages, and they've never even noticed that they were different. But if you like search for pictures of cats, you're going to see a lot of pictures of cats. And if you search for air conditioner engineers near me, you're going to get a map. And so just knowing that they change and they adapt to different types of searches just opens up a whole new world for a lot of people. So just playing around with different searches, seeing what kind of results are coming up, and then understanding why they're coming up. And then once you've got all of that and you're kind of used to thinking about that, then it gets a lot more easier when you're creating your content, because you're thinking, okay, this is the search, this is what results are coming up. They're coming up because of this. How can I make my page answer that question like these pages have?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
fantastic insight. Yeah,
Yeah,
go
sorry,
ahead,
Matthew.
Chris.
Yeah, one more as well. Like, I think understanding the essentials as well. I think this is really important because when I first got into SEO, everything was essential. I would learn something new and I think, okay, I must do this. But there are hundreds of different ranking factors and thousands of things you can do to a website, and it all takes time. And especially if you're working on your own, if you decide to do SEO at your own company, it's impossible to just tick all of these boxes. So just finding out what is essential, and working on that is really important. It will save you a lot of time. Um, Similar to the kind of 80-20 rule, where 80% of effort equals 20% of results, or 20% of effort equals 80% of results. You want to find what is that 20% in SEO that you think will really move the needle, because there's a bunch of things that you could do that are good to do, but they're not going to make too much of a difference. And especially if you're working in a company that's time sensitive and you've got other tasks, finding out what is that 20% that's going to do something. Like, for example, I see somebody might want to update all of the alt text on an image. And for anyone who doesn't know, alt text is kind of the text behind the scenes that's associated with the image. It's mostly for someone who's either blind or Google's bots, so they can't see the image. So, but they can. They've got software that can speak to them what the image is about. With Google, this isn't a major thing that's going to move the needle, especially for searches that aren't image focused. So again, you can search Google, do images come up? If they don't, then images aren't a big thing for Google. Whereas something else that might that will move the needle if you're a local company is creating a location page. And so a lot of the effort that you could be spent on all these kind of small tasks could be consolidated into bigger tasks that take less time, that are more likely to move the needle. So just understanding like that, yeah, to focus on the things that matter, the essential.
Yeah, that's great advice, Chris. And actually, this leads me to my next question. Generally, it's more like adapting to new SEO practices is really like a testament to the broader sort of theme of change in digital marketing. And my question to you is, how do you keep your team adaptable in the face of changes in digital marketing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, it's really important, especially now. Like it's been said a few times before, and it's probably going to be said in a bunch of other podcasts. But AI is changing things, and yeah, but it's just really important to keep on top of blogs.
Mm-hmm.
Follow blogs from industry leaders, but also it's really important to follow blogs from the apps that you use. So we use a bunch of apps. They're very technical, but they're extremely useful. There's a lot of things you can do with them, and you don't want to miss any new features that come up. So it's really important for the team to keep on top of blogs. We use an app. I think there's a bunch, but this is an app that aggregates RSS feeds. So you find blogs that you're interested in. You type this into this app called Feedly, and then it puts them in a timeline, and you can kind of go through them. So what I do is use Feedly. I put these blogs into Feedly, and then every so often I'll go through them to see what's going on, what's changed. And like I said before, it's really important to also for the blogs follow blogs for these tools like Ahrefs, Surfer SEO, because you want to make sure that you're on top of any new features that these blogs these tools have released, and any kind of techniques that that people have used when using these tools. And also, we delegate owners of different parts of the service or different services, and also different tools. Like I said, like I mentioned before, you can't be an expert in everything. It takes a lot of time, and also your brain has only got so much space. So it's much more beneficial to kind of spread these expertise around. So different people in the team are owners of different services and different tools, and so it's their job to keep on top of how marketing is changing and how it will affect these services. So someone will be the owner of Ahrefs, someone will be the owner of Surfer. And if anything new comes out, they'll bring this up in team meetings and say, this is a new feature. I think it could be used in this way. And I think it could benefit our clients and services in this way. And it doesn't have to be tools. It can be kind of just more kind of broader areas. Like we've got someone who's the owner of AI, which will probably be incredibly broad the longer we go on. But so it's their job to, when anything new comes up in AI related to marketing, they'll bring that up with the team. They'll suggest ways that we can use it, and we can have a kind of team discussion on what we think will work.
Yeah, I love that. Chris, you mentioned you check your RSS feed every so often. I'm curious, how often do you actually check it? Because I was reviewing some of my goals, personal goals for 2023, and one of the goals I wrote at the beginning of the year for me was to read about digital marketing from my RSS feed at least 30 minutes every day. And then now it's like 6 months into the year, actually almost 8 months into the year. And I realized that I don't do it every day, but I do it every week, maybe an hour or two every week. I just review everything. How about you?
Yeah, I think it's hard to keep on top of, especially when you've got other kind of priorities going on and things you need to work on. I think same with me. I try to look at every day, but at the moment it's once a week. But I think even if it's every couple of weeks, things don't change super fast. But yeah, after a couple of weeks, you'll just have more blogs to kind of scroll through until you get to the end. But I
For
think I
sure.
try to do it once a week, but every other week's fine.
Cool. Yeah, being adaptable is certainly crucial in this sort of ever evolving field of digital marketing, and looking towards the future. As someone with a keen eye on industry trends like you, how do you envision the landscape of digital marketing changing over the next, let's say, 2 to 5 years?
Yeah, good question. I think again, I think the biggest move is going to come from AI. There's something called Search Generative Experience that Google will be launching eventually. I think they're testing it out with a few users in America. If anyone hasn't heard of it before, Google's got its ChatGPT rival called Bard. At the moment, it's like Bard. It's kind of a third party, separate from Google Search. You can ask it questions, and it will give you answers similar to Bard. One of the key differences is that it's live. It can give you answers based on recent search results because it's got Google's database, which makes it good. ChatGPT is limited up to 2021. If you have ChatGPT 4, then you can search websites, but it kind of does it there and then rather than already having that information in its database. So eventually, Google's going to bring Bard into search results, and this is going to be called Search Generative Experience. And this is going to have probably quite a big effect on search results. Mostly, at the moment, I can see mostly blogs, because a lot of people are going to ask a lot of questions, and it's going to take information it's found from crawling the internet and give answers to the users. So I think blogs is going to have to change. It might be that, like I mentioned before, looking at Google, seeing what kind of information it serves up to help you figure out what you need to do. So there might be some types of blogs or some types of questions that get used in this search generative experience more than others. So we have to think, do we want to write these blogs that get included, or do we want to find out what type of questions aren't getting answered by AI and focus on that instead? And it could be both. Like we could try to aim to include it, and this is could become, like people have mentioned this term already, but it could become a new field in SEO. So instead of search engine optimization, it could be search generative experience optimization, because these snippets of information that will appear in Google based on AI, people are going to try and figure out, okay, how can I get in there? Because when someone types in a question and Google serves up the answer with AI, it's also going to have citations to websites. So that's going to be great for users who don't find all the information they want from the search page, but they want to find out more. They can click on these links that take them directly to the website. So that there'll be questions coming up in the SEO community. How can we get in there? So I think that would be really important. I think another thing that AIs could be good at that hasn't really taken off yet is, well, I don't think people have time, but I'll explain in a second. Is yeah, AI's mostly been used for content creation. So that's kind of an easy one to do. Like a lot of people are doing it. They're asking AI to write content and putting out there. We make sure that, like, if we ever do that, we make sure that a human reads it to make sure it's got past the final step, which I think is really important. A lot of companies may not do that, and they're kind of just churning it out and putting it onto websites without having that quality control. But one part that I think is going to be interesting is when tools start to incorporate AI into themselves, and for like AI for data analysis. Like at the moment, I mentioned Ahrefs before. It's a great research tool that we use to find keywords that websites could target. So Ahrefs, I'm sure, and a bunch of other software will start incorporating AI into their tools to do the analytics side of things. And I think that would be really interesting because if it happens, it can help remove the noise. It will help figure out what are the best keywords to target and why. Because you've got a lot of data in Ahrefs, like search volume, keyword difficulty, and so AI could give a helping hand in that. And I'm all for AI like taking some part of the job, because it just means it frees you up to do other things that AI can't do yet. So AI can do that heavy lifting, and then it means that you can focus on other areas that that AI hasn't touched. So yeah, you can end up doing more.
Well, maybe we can use AI to reverse engineer the search generative experience and figure out their quote unquote ranking algorithm whenever that's going to be deployed. But I'm
Yeah,
definitely going to be really excited to see how that's going to unfold.
yeah,
And for everyone who thinks that SEO is dead, well, no, it's not. SEO, it's here to stay. It's just going to change, like it's been changing over the past 15 years. There's always going to be some way of trying to figure out how to rank websites, whether that's through search generative experience or regular search engine results.
yeah. A couple more points to add. Actually, just reminds me. One, I think some people have tried to figure out ChatGPT's code by asking it, like trying to kind of hack it to figure out what the code is.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of areas that might not have so much impact just yet, and I think that is ads. Like ads is a big part of Google's revenue, so that there's going to be ads still going to be an important part. Things, the criteria of why ads show up might change, and marketers will have to adapt to that. And another part, another aspect that might not change is, or at the moment, is service or product pages. Like
Mm-hmm.
an AI can't create a product or can't create a service. So the searchers still want to go and will want to go directly to these service or product pages. So they're definitely, I can't see them affecting search results that much at the start anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. And I don't know about comparison pages. Like we know there's a lot of
Mm,
comparison searches as well. This tool versus this tool, this company versus that company. And maybe even in those cases, those could be or will be treated as product or service pages just because an AI, how can they really, or how can it really figure out what is best uh, between two things?
right. Yeah, I think yeah, there might be some cases where someone is fine with just having the AI explain what the differences are, but I think a lot of times they're going to want a human to give their opinion, someone who's used that product before and say, okay, I like this one. I think this feature's nice compared to this feature on this other product. So yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I cannot thank you enough for what you've shared today with us. Your insights into the future of digital marketing have been fascinating, and I'm sure our listeners have found them equally interesting. It's been great having you on the show. And to our listeners, as we navigate the future that Chris painted for us, remember to stay curious, keep learning, and keep marketing. I'm your host, Matteo. Until next time. Bye.
Cool. Thank you. Bye bye.